Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we are actually doing the first video of a brand new series, and that is going to be called the DOT Challenge series. It's basically where I try to attempt DOT as far as I can attempt in DOT, so like just to see how far I can get in Dungeon of Trials, right? And the catch is I have limitations. So this first episode is going to be us going through the entirety of Dungeon of Trials, or at least as far as we can physically get with Dungeon of Trials, with only mono fire. No other units are allowed except for fire units. And as you'll see, it's pretty interesting journey. We do get a fair bit far, and we do run into just a couple bumps along the way, but we end up figuring out what to do with them. I can't thank Shiro enough. He is a member of my Discord. He pretty much coached me through all of this. I came to him with the idea. He said, "That sounds impossible." And then I showed him something on floor 26, which is the fire reflect floor. And he was just like, wait, maybe it's not impossible. And I have a lot of knowledge on the game. I don't really have a lot of like the skill factors, so like speed running or leaderboard chasing or like, stage transition canceling, stuff like that. Like I don't have like a lot of good stuff in terms of skill for the game. I just am very knowledgeable about it. And so Shiro, on the other hand, is both knowledgeable and skilled. And so he kind of tried to coach me through, this entire process. And I love him for it. Thank you for putting up with my, idiocy when it comes to having skill in this game. But we did full auto up to floor 24. I think floor 24 is where we get our first, manual floor where we have to sit there and, build up an actual team against it and then manual our way through the quest. So I'm just going to let this last little bit continue to play out from floor 20. It looks like we're on to, floor 23, completing it. So I'll see you guys in a second when we, get to floor 24. Alright, so floor 24 is interesting because this is my first little bump in the road. It's against Oldius, and he has certain points on his health bar that have him produce a barrier, and the more damage you do the barrier, the more he stocks, and then the more damage he does to you, and if you don't do it right, he insta-kills you. So how you do it is when you get to Oldius, you have to break him before you get to the first 75% HP threshold, and you have to break them before the message comes up that says start damage stock, as you saw right there. So we broke them before, like right before that damage stock message showed up. And then when you do, you just want to wail on him with everything that you have. The more hits you do, the better. It's not necessarily how much damage you do to the barrier. It's actually way better to do less damage and to hit him more to break the barrier, because the barrier goes off of hits. But then after you do that first initial break before that first 75% HP threshold, it is just kind of dealing damage to him at that point, breaking his barrier throughout the rest of the process. And then obviously we get to clear the quest that way. So floor 25, this one's interesting too, because you have to have some way to negate status ailments. So we're using True Raz here, and basically we just build sustain, and then right before the HP threshold at 50%, we pop True Raz to avoid being massively afflicted by poison and I think blind, because if we're afflicted by that, then this part of the fight, so this boss specifically, will one-shot. But you want to make sure your health is good enough to go into the second stage, but you don't want to cleanse once you get, you know, your status ailments on you for the second stage, because if you cleanse, then you pretty much insta die on that stage. But then once you get through that, you just kind of nuke them. So stage 26, I hated this stage. I did this for so long, over and over. I'm just showing you like a small portion of my trials and errors with this. So basically the stage is fire reflect, right? It's the, whatever you call it, you know, you do damage and it deals 5% of that damage back to your characters, therefore killing your characters if you don't do it correctly. And me and Shiro kind of scratched our heads about this one for a while, and then we came to the realization that if we used only Choose Exceeds X, the 3% lifesteal on it is good enough to help Summer Mew survive the stage when she nukes the second half. And then you just have to have good accuracy, good buffs, and then you have to have some sort of freeze to stop her from healing when she's burned. And if you time the freeze just right, then the run looks a little something like this. I'll let this play out. And there you go. I'd say somewhere just about before Summer Mew's about to hit her like big slam is when you want to proc the freeze. Floor 27, the fight against what's her face, Palamecia. So this one requires what is that status ailment called? It's not poison, it's the other one where it blocks healing basically. You see it on the screen there. I actually forget. It's disease. And there's only one fire character in the whole game, and that's Elizabeth, that does disease. I do not own Elizabeth, so I had Shiro record that fight for me. But basically, you just poison Palamecia and then nuke her, and that's about it. Dungeons of Trials, floor 8. This one's actually kind of free. You just have to have different types of damage, so physical and magical. So first stage, it negates physical damage, so magical damage is how you're supposed to kill it. And then I'm pretty sure the stage after that is it negates magic damage. So let's see. Yeah, so negates magic damage, and if you kill it before it uses its arts, you get a little boost or like a buff, right? And honestly, this stage is just us going through all 4 fights of the boss, and there's just 4 dragon fights. They're all super free. Like I said, this stage is actually not really that hard as long as you have 2 forms of damage and you don't have demons on your team. But I'll let this, you know, the rest of this play out. It's pretty simple, straightforward. And that's the stage. Like I said, pretty straightforward as long as you have physical and magic damage and you have some sort of heal / support on your team. You don't have to go too crazy for it. Oh, jeez. So what is this? Floor 29. I also hate this stage. So this stage is a sustain burn fight. So it's miasma is what it's called. The other boss maybe well known for this is the Aces fight, which is a luck unit, ultra luck unit. She also has miasma. Miasma, basically what it does is it blocks arch gen altogether, and it just slowly auto fills everyone's art gauge. And then every time you skill, it gives your unit 5 arts. And so for this stage, we build a lot of sustain, a lot of burn resist down, a lot of burning items, a lot of characters who apply burn, and then a lot of skill CT down, and then a lot of DR down from earth units. This fight is pretty boring, to be honest. This is also at 1000% speed, by the way. It was like probably a 15-minute fight for me, and let me tell you, it sucked. But as long as you can just manage all of your cooldowns, manage Trawled Shields, and manage your DR equips down at the right time, you should be able to just straight up complete this quest, and that's what we did. Dungeon of Trials, floor 30. So this one's pretty straightforward. It's a time attack. So you have, 200 seconds to kill Mars X, but the catch is his gauge fills up pretty quickly, and then he does his ultimate ability, which is called Endless, and it basically like takes forever and it freezes your units in place. Does very little damage, so honestly, like just having anything that like slightly buffs your HP, maybe have a burst heal ready just in case your units get low like my Sunraku does, but overall it doesn't do a huge ton of damage. But after his Endless, I actually kind of mess up here, but thankfully he just went into his second Endless. But after his Endless, he always pauses for about 2 to 3 seconds, and then he goes invincible for about half a second. You'll see it right there. So every time he does Endless, he does that. And so you want to time your damage right. So you don't want to like just as soon as you get out of Endless, you don't want to just like go straight for damage, because you want to wait for him to like shift or phase through his little thing there. And so you'll see I kind of wait for Sunraku damage to go after he does his phase. And that's it. And that is all of the floors that we can do with Mono Fire. Floor 31, you have to have different types of damage to do, and you can't do it with just a single type of damage, aka, mono, whatever. But yeah, it literally doesn't let you. It starts to negate, single types of damage. But yeah, that's as far as we can go for Mono Fire. Honestly, if you guys want to see more of this type of content where I just do like, challenge types, I'm going to continue the Dungeon of Trials challenge, obviously, for as long as I can go. And I plan on doing like all of the monos, and then maybe we do mono human, mono demon, just GS specific characters, only crossover characters, stuff like literally anything, only spirit characters, see how far we can get. I think it's a really fun idea, and I can't wait to do more of this. And again, thank you, Shiro, so much for helping me, like, coach me through this. And then I also thank you for any future coachings that we do for all the other challenge for DOT. But anyways, that's going to be it for this video. I hope you guys liked it, and I can't wait to do more of these because it was super fun, and I got to use a lot of units that I normally don't get to use, which is also part of the reason why I wanted to do something like this. But anyways, without yapping any further, I will see you all in the next video. Later.